January 17th, 2023. The clerk will call the roll for attendance.
Anderson Burgos. Bartley.
Here.
Givner.
Here.
Jordan.
Here.
Maldonado Velez.
Here.
McGee.
Here.
McGivern.
Here.
Murphy Ramboletti.
Here.
Puello.
Here.
I. Rivera. J. Rivera.
Here.
Tommen.
Here.
Bacon.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
And the city of Holyoke
And the city council.
and all its people. Couple announcements just before we get started. Councilor Anderson Burgos is not feeling well tonight, so he will not be in attendance. We did pull the name for Councilor Murphy Ramboletti to go first for voting. I asked for a moment of silence tonight for two people. Sue Ellen Panage, as we all know, unfortunately passed away. Just a phenomenal person for the city of Holyoke. All the boards that she volunteered for and helped in any way, shape, or form for many people. And people have reached out, many stories on her generosity and just everything that she did for the city. Also, our director of Park and Recs, Tommy Reynolds, his dad passed away. It's been, once again, the last couple months, been tough, and it just keeps carrying forward. So ask for a moment of silence for those families. Thank you. With that, we do have a very special guest with us tonight. No one new to us. And I'd ask if, Councilor Bartley, could you escort in our guest, Mr. Gary Rome? Come on up, Gary. This way.
Or second.
It's an obstacle course. Hello.
The council unanimously voted to give a proclamation to Gary Rome for being honored for a very prestigious award. And everyone absolutely said, absolutely yes. Before I get to the proclamation, I wanted to bring you in not only for that, but really for the service that you do for the city of Holyoke.
Thank you.
I mean, you run a phenomenal business for the city, but if you look at all the posts that you have, whether it's whatever social media platform, it's a family up there. All the employees are taken care of. It's just like a family atmosphere. It's the same type of family atmosphere that you bring to the city of Holyoke, with all the charities and everything that you do to help the city. You could have gone anywhere else. Could have gone to Chicopee, you could have gone to West Springfield. You chose to stay right here in Holyoke, and we can't thank you enough for that. So we just wanted to bring you in to recognize you, not only for this award that we're going to get into, but just for everything that you do for us.
Thank you.
So one thing I will share, it was the other day, a link came up. I'm not, once again, I'm the worst at social media. And it was you, and I think they put a car on your back, and you did like 20 push-ups, and you said, and I said, no, it was actually someone put like 50 pounds on your back, and you did like all these, I'm like, what the heck is he doing? If they put 5 pounds on me, I would have just laid there and cried. But it's amazing what you do, not only for everyone in the city, but just what you do.
Thank you.
So with that, on behalf of the full city council, be it resolved that we send our congratulations to Gary Rome for being named the Time Dealer of the Year for 2023 and a successful auto dealer with a long-standing commitment to this city and the services that you provide to all of us. Signed off by me on behalf of the full board, the clerk, Brendan Murphy McGee. It's dated when we found out November 15th, but really it's for today, January 17th, 2023. So congratulations. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you for recognizing me for this honor. I appreciate it. It's not work. It's love. I absolutely love what we do in the community. People ask me, where do I live? I say, I live in Holyoke. I just sleep somewhere else. And it really makes me feel good. And it's not, I do get a lot of accolades for what we do, but it's really our team that works tirelessly day in and day out to do just what they do every single day. But it really makes us feel good to give back to our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Before we get into the agenda, I just want to recognize one very, very important person. You see some photos up here. It's not about me. I'm not photogenic. But someone turned double digits today, and that is Miles Murphy McGee, my boy. I'll share a story. I just love this story because it represents one of the members here. I think I just became president and went down to the baseball jamboree. It had poured for like 3 days straight. And I kept asking, are they still going to do it? I said, it's Miles' first time at T-ball. And they're like, we're going to do the parade. We're going to get the jamboree off. They're going to line up around the field. We're going to take a picture and get them out of there and get a hot dog. No one's doing anything because it's all mud. I said, okay. So I show up, shirt and tie. You know, I have to say something. I couldn't catch, couldn't throw, but I'm going to have to say something about baseball. So there's Miles right in front with all the other kids, and he's got on the most beautiful white pants. So he just bought them. There's still the papers coming off them. And he's standing there, he's all excited, he's bouncing up and down. And I just said, stay there, stay there. And he says, nope, comes running out. And as he's running, up in the air, down, no more white pants. And once again, I'm in my shirt and tie. I go to pick him up. He's all mud, and I'm like, please don't cry, please don't cry. And someone leans over and says, Miles, finally, it's baseball. You're supposed to get dirty here. I leaned over and I said, thank you so much. And he said, Todd, if you blink, he's going to be in college. I blinked. Joe, thanks. It was Joe McGivern who saved me that day. Joe, with all your wisdom, thank you so much for everything. And Miles just laughed and smiled. Oh, I got dirty. Now he's 10, so happy birthday, big guy. Now you got 20 more minutes, and then you can go to bed. But thank you to Gary Rome and everyone, and we'll get right into the agenda. So here, item 1, still there? Okay. Do we have public comment? Let's see here. No one signed up here. Anyone online? So we'll move on to communications. First one is item 2, which is the minutes for January 3rd.
Motion receive.
Motion would be
Second.
receive and adopt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3 is from the superintendent of schools, Anthony Soto, about the donation.
Receive.
Motion is received, put in archives and finance.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4 is from various department information, reclaim vacant property conference,
Receive.
Chicago, Illinois. Motion is received. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think 5 got stuck. 5 is the Mass 5-year forecast workbook.
Receive finance.
And-
Finance.
Motion to receive, refer to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Connect that. 6 is from the Green Valley LLC annual report.
Receive.
Motion to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7 is from Burn Bright LLC and proposed
Receive
marijuana.
and send to ordinance.
Motion to receive, refer to ordinance. This is scheduled for, that was January 31st, or January 31st, 2023 at 5:15. 1 Cabot Street. And that was the ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 8 is the Fire Commission minutes for November 17th. Motion is received. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 9 is a petition from,
Suspend the rules. Why don't you take 10, 11 as a package, send to ordinance?
so motion is 9, 10, 11
Second.
as package. Suspend the rules, take it up. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 9 is the Victoria Frost LLC. 10 is the Hoyok 420. And 11 is the 400 Ray Street. I gotta get my glasses on. All those to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
There are my glasses. Thank you. President's report. I did have a list of stuff, and I forgot it at my desk. So I'll have to carry it over till next time, unless there's something. It's his birthday. He's 10. I left everything in a rush. But pizza tomorrow with the new DPW director, 12 o'clock at DPW? At DPW, tomorrow at 12, with the new director. Unless there's other reports that anyone has off the top of their head?
Right, Mr. President?
Oh, Counselor. The 19th, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The 19th.
Right.
You want to remind us of the time in the street?
12 p.m. We'll be honoring Albion Street. We'll be honoring the former, our local rapper, rest in peace, Justin Chavez. He was known as Extraordinaire. It'll be, they'll have the signs, and the mom and the family has actually organized an event around it. So they're inviting anyone that would like to attend at noon this Thursday, January 19th, which is his birthday. So anyone that would like to attend, that would be great. But thank you all for unanimously voting it in. The family is super grateful, and the community overall will be showing up to show a lot of support and love. So thank you again.
Should probably give the location.
Albion Street.
Albion Street. North.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Counselor Tallman.
Yeah, I just want to say that last night I had an opportunity to get down to Loretta House. They had a pop-up shelter the last 3 nights. Jenny Adamczyk put that together, and they're looking at possibly doing that, down the road for shelters for people that are actually on the street. Got a chance to talk to some of the people in there. They actually have food, hot shower, they have a meal, and change of clothes. So just to put it out there to the people in the public that if you have any type of clean clothing, any kind of clothing at all, their shoes or jackets, they would welcome them down there at the Loretta House because they could really use them. They did get a good amount in over the weekend. They were actually short on stuff, and on Monday there was a lot of donations that came in. It's very, very helpful, but she does a great job down there, and I just wanted to put that out there that it's when the weather's cold and people out there in the street, it's nice to have a place and a warm cot and some food and a hot shower. So just want to thank her for showing me around a little bit that night. It was only maybe about 20, 30 minutes, but it was very interesting.
Yeah,
Counselor Bradley.
Pete, what's the address and what are the hours to make donations?
That's 51 Hamilton Street, and they're open pretty much all day, like probably from 9 to 5 would be any time, a good time to bring something down there.
Jeffrey just reminded me 391 for everyone at home and here is going to be shut down for roughly 6 months from High Street
Bridge.
to Bridge. Or where,
The bridge.
the bridge
Before
itself.
the bridge.
Yeah, but I think it's like from, I'm not sure exactly where the detour goes, but just know for 391 you're going to have some problems.
It's gonna take most people onto commercial street, and then the rest would go down. So yeah, most of it's blocked off
All right.
for one exit.
Just to put that out there so people aren't surprised. Councilor McGivern.
It does raise the legal question if the people on the corners can collect unemployment.
Right after they file their tax.
All right. With that, ordinance, none. To finance, 13A, Committee on Finance to refer an agreement between the City of Hoyoke and the UFCW Local 1459. Recommend it be adopted. Councilor McGivern.
Could we suspend the rules and take 13A and 13E together?
E. Take up 13A and 13E as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? E is a transfer of $16,966 from Chief Procurement Officer, local 2, and then the various positions. So that would be motion to receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. This involves about 11 employees at the Council on Aging. We had the director before us, along with the law department, to discuss what this means. Essentially, it's a $1 per hour increase in their salary, both this year retroactive to July 1st, and next year. It's a 2-year contract. There's a couple other things in the contract that include some clothing allowances for the kitchen people and some stuff for the drivers who have not had seen any increases in those areas over the recent years and recent MOAs. After listening to the presentation, the Finance Committee agrees that these are appropriate raises for some very good workers within the Council on Aging, and agreed to transfer itself. The reason there's extra money in the procurement officer, I should go without saying, but it's because it was vacant for part of the year. And it's going into each of the line items. So if we agree with the transfer, we agree with the MOA and ratify it.
Anyone further? Motion is passed first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I make a motion to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for A and B. Or A and E, sorry.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Puello,
Yes.
I. Rivera,
Yes.
J. Rivera,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern.
Yes.
Unanimous.
With your vote, you approve those. 13B, Command of Finance was referred that we accept the fiscal year 2022 Edward Bryan Memorial Grant for $37,248. No match. Motion is recommended that we receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an annual reoccurring grant that's been with the police department, with the city for decades now. It's well used by the police department. This particular one, as stated, is no match. Unfortunately, Sergeant Hart was scheduled to be with us. He had notified me before the meeting that he was going to be out of state, but he was going to attempt to connect by phone. He was unable to connect by phone. The committee decided that we should at least put it in front of the city council to see if anybody did have questions. Sergeant Hart was supposed to be here this evening, or at least on Zoom this evening. He is not. And I that's the best I can tell you without getting into some details. Some details that are just not coming back to my memory is what I'm trying to say. Right. Again, it's reoccurring, but if there are questions or if anybody's uncomfortable, we can hold off for a couple weeks.
Mr. President.
Councilor Jordan.
So, to be nice, Finance Committee, as the chairman will recall, we passed it so that they'd have a second bite at the apple to come tonight and say, this is what we're going to spend the money on. It's just not in good form for us when we have no idea what they're doing with the money to just pass it sight unseen. So I recommend we'll give them a third bite at the apple. I recommend it should be tabled for 2 weeks. And then I don't know why they couldn't have gotten a hold of you, Joe, between the Finance Committee and this meeting, probably a quick email, and you could have said, and this is what we're doing with the money. You know, they've got to understand that they have to tell us what they're going to do. We haven't gotten to that point yet where we're totally rubber stamp, you know? So I would make a motion at table.
Second.
Well, just before,
Oh,
Well, hold on. Councilor
I take
Bartley
it
did
back.
have his hand up before the motion.
I take it back.
yeah,
No problem, but Councilor Bartley.
because that ends debate. I would only say that respectfully that this is a grant that's been coming in year after year, and I think they buy basically equipment. It could be computers, it could be vests for protection. It's basically a standard grant without a match. I don't really know if I doubt there's a time constraint on it, but we probably could table it. But I mean, I think I think we've been here for seeing this come through a lot of times. So I personally would rather us just send it along, but I'll defer to the body.
Counselor McGivern.
Councilor Jordan and Councilor Bartley are right on the nose. I mean, we don't know what they're going to spend on this year, but Councilor Bartley's correct. That's what it's been used for in the past, is buying equipment, but usually they give us a list of what they're going to purchase. Again, we just wanted to leave it up to the body.
Yeah, I'm just going through it, and Councilor Bartley is right, and so are you, Councilor Jordan. Normally, they give a list of what they are doing. It's a standard grant, nothing new and surprising, but it's just not listed here.
Right.
I can't tell you.
Well, and that's my point. So we waited, we had the meeting, they were early in the agenda, we tabled it, he couldn't make it. Things happen, people can't make it, no problem. So we said, you know what, we'll pass it anyways. And just, now you've had an extra whole week, just tell us, what are you gonna do with the money? It's very simple. This is probably not even remotely controversial, but I'm not just gonna say, hey, pass my grant, and we're not even gonna tell you what it's for. We don't operate, at least I don't operate that way. So they need to respect the process, tell the chairman or send us an email what it's for, and if it seems reasonable to everybody, we'll pass it. But to sight unseen, well, we passed this in the past and we just don't know this. That's not really powerful to me. I'd rather really follow the process. So, I would stand by my motion to table it and then tell us, and we'll take it up in 2 weeks. I doubt it's that time sensitive. So
I know
I'll
it's going
leave
to be
it at that.
seconded, but Councilor Bartley, you had a
Yeah, why
follow-up?
don't, just so we can move on, why don't, if we just ask Jeff to send an email to Sergeant Hart, have Sergeant Hart email what's going on with the grant to Mr. McGivern, and we'll just take it up in 2 weeks. Is that fair?
All right, so motion is to table.
And second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that's table.
President, make a motion to suspend the rules to take 13C and D as a package.
Second.
Motion to take up C and D as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? C is capital stabilization, $143,000 to school capital outlay. And that's referred back to the auditor. And then D is $120,000 for capital stabilization to school capital outlay, also to refer back to the auditor. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mickey Rule was before us. We were looking for answers to some questions about whether this would be part of net school spending or not. But before we got into any real details, Mr. Rule said that they decided to return the request to the auditor because there is some confusion. They just saw when the mayor established the capital stabilization fund, and it was everybody, I guess, department heads were reached out to about needs, and they just, they put their request in the hopper. But they're going to do something different, so at the moment they're all set, and we just asking us just to return this to the auditor.
So both to the auditor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? F from the Committee on Finance, from the auditor, the purchase agreement for the cruisers. Recommend it's been complied with. Councilor McGivern.
Mr. President, real quick, unless there's questions, we've been talking about this since the budget hearings in early June. We're at the end of, and I think the final payment has actually been made, of what was called a lease agreement with Marquardt Ford. It really was a purchase agreement under slightly different circumstances. The last payment was made. Part of this was just with part of this was because Councilor Jordan wanted to have the lease before we announced that to everybody, and part of it was because there was a little confusion as to this year that there was one more year left on the agreement. Next future years will be with the state clearinghouse that we're going to be required to go through, which will be some savings, but unfortunately takes away that ability to be local. But the orders are complied with after a thorough discussion, unless there's any questions.
Councilor Jordan.
Yeah, no questions, but a brief comment. The chairman's right. I would only add that one of the things why I wanted to actually review the lease documents was to see were there any fees or interest being charged to the city. Typically in a lease agreement, you want to look in the details of the lease. Traditionally in the past, our practice was we just purchased police cars that we needed, right? Well, they decided to go to this leasing method. And in fact, we were being charged fees and interest to the tune of about $15,000 in this particular portion. And to me, $15,000 is still $15,000 of tax money that doesn't need to be spent. And and I'm pleased to report the mayor is discontinuing this lease practice and is going to go now to the traditional method of, we need police cars, we buy police cars, and that's what it is. And as opposed to this leasing method. There were some additional costs, and we can now avoid those additional fees. Thank you.
So this is complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 13G, Command and Finance, referred in order that the mayor and Wisteria-Hearst director please give the council an update and repair plan and give a priority of fixing it as soon as possible. That's complied with, but Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think if you drive up Pine Street at the Wisteria-Hearst intersection, everybody notices, or if you haven't, it's pretty sad that you missed it, that there's a portion of the wall that's come down and a portion that's coming down. There's what we learned from, we had the mayor, we had the director, Megan Saylor, and we also had Chris Baker with an email and some information about the plan to fix this. What we learned is the wall itself is considered historic under the umbrella of historic entitlement, such as Wisteria-Hearst itself is. And we learned that the estimated project cost at the moment is up to $300,000. The first time I heard about that, the estimated project cost was about $125, I think. So it's, the cost of construction is going up quickly, and we, at Councilor Jordane's request, had them in to find out, if there is a good plan in place, and hopefully one that can be executed as soon as possible.
Anyone further? So this is complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next round of public safety. 14A. Do you want to take all these up as a package that they're complied with and go through them? All right, so motion to take up A, B, C, D as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? A is that the public safety to order at the Office of Tenant Protection be created. And this would be under the Board of Health. So this is complied with. B is that both the Public Health and Legal Department come before the Public Safety on the process of code enforcement, complied with. C is Board of Health, Law Department, and others involved to come before the Public Safety to discuss how the city will use what is receiving for opioid lawsuit settlements. That's complied with. And 14, Public Safety, order that the mayor and the Flex Squad be invited to discuss effectiveness of what steps they're taking to make sure neighborhoods are clean. That's been complied with. Councilor Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. President. So for 14A, we had a brief conversation with Sean, the director of Board of Health, and Councilor Maldonado-Velez was able to be present because he was actually the filer of this order. I believe through the conversations, we are working towards developing something that works for our department, our community, and for the people. But at the moment, we don't technically have the capacity to do, with regards to staff, and we are still exploring how legal certain aspects of this is. So at the same time, we recommended that the order be complied with, but I think there would be more conversations coming out of this with the Tenant Bill of Rights, and as well as other meetings that we've had in the past around this. With regards to 14B, the Committee of Public Safety, to whom was referred, Public Safety and Library in the process of court enforcement. That was an order that I filed myself. Sean was in again. He spoke on that. He was strongly focused on how we educate our tenants, our residents in the community. He urges that we try to educate the community as much as possible with the rights that they actually have and how the process is for them to come forward. So that way they are able to actually enforce some of the policies and go out and actually do inspections. There's a situation, the situation is that a lot of people come forward and they don't actually follow through with the inspection piece for fear sometimes of being retaliation from the landlords and people within the building. But ultimately, it just sounds like from that meeting, it came out that the Board of Health is doing the best that they can. But with regards to the law department, they're also doing the best that they can. They spoke briefly on how the process is of them taking people to court and with regards to what the results are. But I believe one of the requests is that if they get more help with regards to staffing, that they're able to attack or that approach a lot better. But in the moment right now, where they're at, it's a lot more difficult. I had brought up the situation how one of the renters mentioned that in Springfield that if they get cited, that in 30 days, if they don't fix whatever they get cited for, they'd be brought into court, and that in Holyoke, that doesn't happen for them. And in comparison, I was told that it's kind of not fair because they have a larger legal office, and their legal office is a little more. They've been invested. I mean, they're a larger city. They have more money to play with at the end of the day when it comes down to that. But I think that's something for us as a council to look into in the future on how to best support our law department to better crack down on these. I don't want to, slumlords, for better words, I guess, that are not actually doing what they need to do. Then the next order was, I believe, filed by Juan Anderson Burgos. This one was actually interesting and a pretty good conversation. For the next several years, we'll be receiving, here it says $427,000, but it sounds like we're, in total, I believe, it sounded like it's going to be like $4 million from a variety of different lawsuits and sources if everything goes through all right. And so far, the plan, it sounds like that they're going to be looking to hire either a housing navigator or someone to help with regards to educating the community and the public on what we have for resources in the community, and at the same time helping them to find homes and shelters with regards to trying to combat homelessness and some of the issues we have here in Holyoke. Councilor Vacan brought up a pretty awesome point around education with drugs. I also feel like that would be a great aspect to look into on with spending some of the money, but it just is what the approach is going to look like and mapping it out. We recommended that the order be complied with, but I believe in the future we're going to file another order, either myself or Councilor Juan Anderson Burgos, to kind of like dive deeper in what the plan is going to be, because that's a lot of money that we will be receiving over the next 20 years, and it would be great to actually develop some form of a strategic plan on how to spend it. And then the last one, 14D, that one is around the Flex Squad. So we had brought it in before, but they weren't able to make it. This was the second time we had brought it into public safety. This time we were able to have fire chief, the mayor, and the health department. The chief of police couldn't make it because he was actually on vacation, but it was totally fine. The ultimate goal out of this order being filed was pretty much, to my understanding, that we wanted to understand what the approach was and what was, like, where did it come from. We knew that it was to be combating the troubled neighborhoods with regards to trash and illegal dumping, but we wanted to, counselors wanted to have more of a better understanding of how you select the locations that you go to, and how could we as counselors help out by identifying other locations to suggest The conversation was actually pretty interesting. And I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add with regards to who was there that day. But yeah.
Counselor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for the report, Izzy. On item C, yes, I thought we had a very good discussion in there in the process of developing the use of the money. And of course, the first focus is on the folks who are drug addicted and trying to intervene and help them get off of the drugs. And then secondarily, we talked quite a bit about education and prevention as one of the spokes of the wheel. And then thirdly, I brought up the matter of enforcement because we know we never have enough reinforcements and bodies in our police department to try to reduce the number of dealers in the city. And so we know that more than 50% of the people who overdose in our city are not from our city. And so that was brought up to put into the mix relative to the use of the funds as we go forward also. So my understanding was they'll come back in a few months to give us an update of perhaps how that money will be used. And so I thought it was a really good, constructive discussion. And item D, interestingly enough, I was looking in my emails, but I couldn't find it quickly in the moment. But right after this meeting last week, today I got an email around the whole idea of using things like our Flex Squad, as we call it, in communities to go around and address the quality of life issues that, if they're left unaddressed, lead to ever-increasing criminal problems. So I thought, wow, we're ahead of the curve with the Flex Squad. And so that was kind of, I thought, a very good thing. So, thank you.
Counselor Bartley.
Yes, I had a good fortune to attend the meeting. I just want to speak to each of these very briefly, Mr. President. On A, I think if we're going to do something, anything along those lines, you have to do it through an ordinance. So you're going to need to, and you should look for a template. I'm also going to suggest looking to the City of Hartford's having some serious landlord-tenant issues where they brought in the EPA, and the EPA is going to be investigating landlords in Hartford because of some of the unsanitary conditions. So you might want to look to that. On B, one of the terms that is really important, Mr. President, you're very familiar. Mr. Tallman, Mr. McGivern, Mr. Janae, Ms. Bacon, very familiar with our program here relative to that we developed right from the city of Springfield, which is our receivership program. It is my hope and expectation that a lot of us will become familiar with the receivership program. We'll have an update, I know, very soon in DGR committee because we had the order filed by myself for an annual update, as I've tried to do over the course of time. And generally an excellent report comes from the law department. So we do have a great law team that fights these things in the Western Division of the Housing Court. It is not an easy court to be in, but they do their very best. And I think the law department should be credited for this and being persistent with it. The housing law is convoluted, to say the least. On C, just one comment. I don't know, and I'll defer to Joe or to Pete on this, but grant-funded positions, I don't know, Mr. President, whether or not they have to be created first by ordinance, or we can just have a position funded by a grant. So when I hear about a position potentially being created, I get a little nervous to think that it's just going to be created and we're not going to know anything about it. We're not going to have any kind of criteria to base it on. So my hope is that if it is to be created, it'll be done through an orderly process, specifically ordinance. On D, on the Flex Squad, I was able to participate in that entire discussion. One of the things where the Flex Squad is, and maybe this isn't commonly understood, the Flex Squad is constricted by census tracts. So you can't be everywhere in the city. You can't just come up with ideas, even as valid as it is, because the members of the Flex Squad, Mr. President, are paid for by ARPA funds. And so when they're out there on Saturday, they're not volunteering, which I don't expect them to. They're being compensated, at an hourly rate, paid for by ARPA funds, and the ARPA funds are restricted to certain areas of the community which are census tracts. That's just important to recognize. I did want to point out that I did suggest to the BOH department head that it would be nice if you put a page under his website page that shows specifically where, I mean, we got a black and white photo with all the census tracts, and while you and I can understand it, I mean, it's tough to read. I mean, it wouldn't take much, I don't think, just to lay it out in color with the actual streets on it, and that'll answer the questions as to where the Flex Squad can investigate. I would hope that would lead to, and the last point I made on that one was similar to what we have for the receivership program. Is my hope that someone, not going to be me, but somebody who's taking the lead on this, will file orders on an annual or semi-annual basis to ask the Flex Squad to come in. What did they investigate? What did they look at? What results they're from? So I know it's going to take a little bit of work, but hopefully somebody will carry the ball and do that. Thank you.
Councilor McGovern.
Thank you, President. First of all, very good meeting. I did have a little issue with Zoom. I think it was one of the meetings I had an issue with Zoom, but I did finally manage to get in. But great discussions. I won't repeat anything that's been said. Just as far as Councilor Bartley's question, I don't think we've even accepted this money yet, whether it's available. It needs to be appropriated like any grant, come before the city council, put it in finance. I would suggest that we're going to create a position that it would be more of a consultant, because otherwise you tie yourself into unemployment, other types of benefits, and a number of different things down the road, which creates a bigger budget than even just the amount of money for the salary. And if this is only a one-time grant, it doesn't make any sense to create a position for future years without knowing the funding sources. But no, ordinance could be one way to do it, or consulting could be the other way.
Anyone further? Councilor Malauulu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple points. I know for putting in the tenant on the Office of Tenants Protection, the conversation there was, exactly as Councilor Bartley said. The intention with this one is to start the conversation, get the conversation rolling, and know city departments, particularly the Board of Health, understands that this is something we're interested in. So yeah, what came out of that meeting is, when we are ready to have a more sort of a comprehensive plan, it will definitely be going to ordinance, and we'll take it from there. But what I got from the meeting, I think as a whole, is just this sort of like feeling and want towards more compliance versus punitive actions against our people. And that was kind of my hope with putting the Flex Squad order. And Councilor Bartley just said it, they're out on Saturdays. So I think that's they're not all over the city on Saturdays, but at least the business owners, you're not worrying every single day. Is this the day that Flex Squad is coming? Hey, they know Saturday mornings, it's a day that Flex Squad may be here, and I should get my property in order. Because there's a lot that is happening in our city as far as like, you can pick up trash now, then there's trash appearing there 5 minutes, 30 minutes later. So how do we, as a city as a whole, make sure we set ourselves up for success? And I think the conversation at the public safety meeting was that, we are more on the same page than we like to think we are not sometimes. Thank you.
Anyone further? So motion is that A through D, that they're all complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There's no public safety, no DGNR, charter and rules. Public service, yes, I stand corrected. That's why I get my glasses on again. All right, so 7A, Committee on Charter and Rules was referred in order that we revert committee name, Council Rule 9BV11, to read the Joint Committee on Cities, Council and School Committee. Motion is that it be adopted. Councilor Malauulu.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this was just revert from the last order file to change the name. The intention was not what was accomplished with this name change. Speaking with Attorney Bissonnette, he understands where we're trying to get to. It would essentially be creating another committee, which I know is part of the conversation we had, but not in this case is more of just a committee having two committee assignments so that they can actually take up more youth service type issues that cannot be taken up within the joint committee of the city council school committee. So the other order is still in the charter and rules committee, and it'll be brought up next time if you have any questions around that.
Anyone further? So motion is to receive and adopt and change the committee name for the council rules. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're changing that name.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Puello,
Yes.
I. Rivera,
Yes.
J. Rivera,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern.
Yes.
Unanimous.
With your vote, you approve that one. 17B, the Committee on Charter and Rules was referred in order from Councilor Velez. It's the examples of title change and sections for the Charter and Rules, and it's from Amherst and Boston, and we just want to send that to archives to hold.
Yeah, so we've had it. That was one of the first things we did was change the rules around, and these were just some of the examples that we had. So we just want to clear up the jacket and archive it.
All right, so motion is to archive. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? C, D, E, want to take up as a package or complied with? Or
So
separate them?
you can, sure.
All right, motion is to take up C, D, and E as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? C is charter and rules, relook at the community's responsibility and restructure. Recommend it's been complied with. That the city solicitor draft a ballot question for the next eligible election for voters to decide on the CPA tax and reduce it from 1.5 to 0.5, complied with. And E is from charter and rules that the city solicitor draft a ballot question for the next election for voters to decide on the CPA from 1.5 to 0.5. Taxes will increase over 200 per year for house values of 236 due to the inability to archive or achieve 7 votes city council and lower taxes homeowners. Increases taking place along with significant increases of sewer, gas, electricity. So therefore, again, they want it decided, so that's complied with as well. So all three are complied with. Councilor Maldonado Velez for a report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. For 17C, that was just one of the first orders. We've been talking about restructuring or sort of like looking at committee assignments. We've talked about other cities that have multiple. We have that have up to 17 committees. Other cities that only have 4 committees. Either way, I think pretty much the conversation around it has been exhausted. So right now, the only thing that's left in the committee as far as like if we want to put in the new committees or not. So that's why at this point, this order is complied with. As far as 17D and 17E, those are to reduce the CPA tax from 1.5% to 0.5%. These are ballot questions. One of the questions that we asked at the charter and rules is if ballot questions need to come out of charter and rules, and from there it can come out from any committee. So since finance is already taking up this ballot question, we're just giving it complied with on our end so that the rest of the conversation can be taken up on finance. Megan was there present, the chair of the CPA, and she is open. If you have any questions that you would like for her to address at the next finance meeting, please let her know because she will be present.
Anyone further? Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank the chair of Public Service. We do have a request for a ballot question before the Finance Committee, which I had requested. And yes, as Zay says, we did learn. The original question was actually in DGR. Back, I forget, 4 years ago. The reason I'd asked for it to be in finance, and so far it's working out, is all the CPA orders projects come before the Finance Committee. And I'm a firm believer if you're going to do a ballot question, excuse me, that you need to do the best to have an educational component for both sides or multiple sides of a question itself. I've had conversations with Megan. She talked to the Committee Public Service, and they're going to put together a portfolio of what CPA has actually done. And I think the arguments for why, property owners may want to reduce, to take this advantage of reducing their taxes is also going to be something that, people are going to look at. But I just believe it's a yes or no question. The best way to do it is concise, but I always think an educational component should be provided whenever possible.
Counselor Aiken.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I do agree that in all situations, the education should be balanced and present for people to make an informed decision. But I do want to emphasize, because there was a little bit of confusion when our clerk was trying to explain all the variety of ways that a petition can be initiated in the city, and different petitions are different ways. So there are some members of the community that have reached out to me thinking they had to get a petition with 10 signatures in order to get the question on the ballot. And so I explained to them that because the city council by a majority vote put it on the ballot in the first place, it is in the responsibility and arena of the city council, when it's to be brought up again, to have to place it in the same way as we did initially, so that it would require a majority vote of the city council to put it on as a ballot question. So I just wanted to make sure the public is aware of that, because some of the articles left some folks with a little bit confused about it. Because there's more than one way, right?
Correct.
There's 2 or 3 different ways. And so I just wanted to make sure that I got that on the record.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Counselor Maldonado Velez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to follow sort of Councilor Bacon's point, so it is 10 signatures, and anyone can clarify if I'm wrong, but it's 10 signatures for a ballot question to be sent to the council, not for it automatically to become a ballot question. So like those 10 signatures is just sort of a petition that's presented to the council, and then the council will then vote on it becoming a ballot question. I believe the only way for the citizens to get a ballot question without the council approval is if we don't act on that original petition, and then I believe it's 10% of the voters, of the eligible voters. And that's the only way for voters to get a ballot question without any sort of council approval or not.
Correct. If they want to get a ballot question, they can go out, and it might be 10%, if I can remember. Let's say it is 10%, and ask for a ballot question. The other way is to go to city council or petition, as you said, and I think that's what Councilor Bacon was saying. And we took it up as a council, instead of having people go out and get the signatures. We took it up for them to do that. Which is what you're saying. We
Right,
did
they
that,
don't
and
need to
therefore-
come to us with 10 signatures this time,
Correct.
because they didn't have to the first time.
Correct.
Right.
I think we're just trying to let the public know there's different ways you can get a
Right.
ballot question. It was the council that took the forward step to take on the issue, instead of having people go out and get X number of signatures. That makes sense? Or I just totally confused everyone on this
Confused,
Tuesday
no.
night? No, sorry. Councilor Tallman next.
No, I understand where you're coming from, because we did bring that forward, the council did, but if for some reason the council didn't support it, then I think you would go to the citizens and get a percentage of the votes. And the question also I had was there a time frame where they have to get it in before to get it on the ballot this year?
Correct.
Like, is it like March or April or May?
There is a time frame.
Was that mentioned at all?
I believe it was September.
To get it in for the ballot for this year, on the ballot?
That was my understanding, September.
It might be September.
Okay,
Could be. We could always confirm that.
okay.
But yeah, there are timelines.
There's time, yeah, I mean,
Yes.
time sensitive where you have to get the,
Yes.
yeah, to get it, okay.
Who is next? Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, you explained it properly. It's just my hope that, I mean, we can do what we want here, but a lot of us didn't support it last time, but we didn't force anybody to go get the 10%. And, I mean, in the interest of comedy and fairness, and maybe in this case tradition, I mean, we put on the ballot last time with a vote here. My hope would be, I mean, I'm going to vote to put it on the ballot this time. So it's like I didn't support it the last time, but I voted to put it on the ballot out of what I thought was a valid question, and instead of torturing people to go get all those signatures, in the clerk's office, torturing the clerk's office too, to validate all the signatures. My hope is that we'll reflect upon that and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. So with that, these are complied with. I do believe they're the last three.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Let me catch up. F, charter rules that solicitor draft a ballot question for CPA tax to be placed on the next election ballot. Recommend it be given leave to withdraw.
Yep. So
And G as well. Do you want to take up that G is also
Sure.
leave to withdraw? So take up as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Oh, and H, sorry. So F, G, and H as a package because they're all leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So that was F. G is charter and rules. The following committees to add the following committees: zoning committee, public way committee, development committee. Give leave to withdraw. H is committee charter and rules, or that when a vacancy opens up in the council, more than 6 months left, that a special election be required. That be given leave to withdraw. Under discussion, Councilor Morales.
Thank you, Mr. President. For F, it was another order. So Councilor Bacon had put in all the CPA orders for the ballot question. This was one of them that she had put in. We're just staying with the 1.5 to 2.5% sort of ballot question instead of revoking the CPA tax completely. So at the request of the maker of the order, we're just giving it leave to withdraw for 17F.
I just want to make a comment.
Councilor Bacon.
Thanks. The reason that I did that is because I thought it would just create more confusion to try to put two that could create conflict. Because what would you do, say, if both were approved, then which one would you choose? It just seemed to overcomplicate the matter.
Yeah, and it's
So-
in finance to finally just.
So keep it simple.
Okay.
Thank you.
For 17G, these were three other, there's still other possible committees on the Charter and Rules Committee. These are just not the three that made the cut this round. So we're going to leave to withdraw. And then this final one is an order that I put in around if there's a vacancy in the city council with more than 6 months that the special election is required. I know the mayor, if there's a vacancy for more than 6 months, the special election is required. As far as on the city council, the reason why I gave it leave to withdraw is because we first need to figure out we even want a recall process for the 2 years. And I think that's the first step before having this special election conversation.
So anyone further? Seeing none, motions is to give these three leave to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Motions, orders, resolution. Oh, actually, there's no joint committee, so on to motions, orders, resolutions. 19 is from Councilor McGee, Councilor Murphy-Armaletti, that we invite in the CPA board members to give an update on the program. So that would be to
Finance?
DG&R.
Oh, DG.
Or actually, no, go finance because we're
Finance,
already
right.
there. So finance.
Finance.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? For myself, order that a 3 salary reports for calendar year 2022 be provided to the City Council, updating the past report published on the website for the top 100 salaries. We do this every year, so this is just ongoing. So motion would be to receive and adopt in order to get the updates, and then send to,
So moved.
I think it's the
Second.
treasurer's office.
One quick question. Did they have one on top pensions too on there at one time?
I think it's always been top salaries for the city
Okay.
and then the public schools. It's never been pensions.
All right.
We can always do
I'll
that.
double check. I could have sworn I saw something on there about pensions too, but that's okay.
This started with, I think, Councilor
No, this is,
Bresnahan.
these three, you're right. These
Yeah.
have been for a while. I was just
And-
wondering if they had the top pensions or not. Maybe I saw that in a different report.
I'm sure, Kevin, you'll follow it up on that one, right? Yeah.
We tend to look into these things.
And why not? Yeah.
All right, so receive, adopt, refer to treasurer. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? From Councilor McGee, Councilor Tomlin, or that the City of Hoyoke, having previously accepted the provisions of Chapter 59, Section 5, which is regarding the active duty members of the National Guard and Reserve serving in foreign countries, to further adopt and extend such acceptance as long as permitted under state law.
Ordinance?
So this would have to go to ordinance.
Ordinance.
We've already adopted it before, but they're extending it, so send it to ordinance.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Councilor McGee, order that City Council Rule 9H be amended to reword in order to make the process of changing and updating ordinances smoother process, so to charter and rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 23.
Is it good to suspend the rules, Mr. President, for 23 and 24 as a package?
Motion to take up 23 and 24 as a package. All those in favor? All
Aye.
opposed? 23 is $21,237.47 from Lieutenant Sergeant's Patrol to injured on duty. 24 is $522.16 from Captain to injured on duty. Motion would be receive, adopt, pass the first reading, and I'll just get to those. Give me a second.
While you're looking, Mr. President, I think we understand why we're doing this. It's just accounting to if one of our public safety employees get hurt on duty, they still get paid their salary. It could be a brief moment in time, like the weekend, till they get clear to go back to work, or it could be long-term, which we're trying to get a better handle on how many long-terms there are out there. It looks like the fire department's getting a lot healthier, and the police department's getting a lot more less than healthy.
So fire is 1. And police is 7. So motion.
Mr. President, I also, just so everybody knows, I think the police, maybe both, but the police is for more than the typical pay period, because we had none the last meeting.
It doesn't reference 2 pay periods.
I think it's 1. I think we had 10 last.
Just 1, yeah, because we had
And
2
last
last
pay period.
time.
Yeah, we approved some last meeting.
We did, yeah.
2. I think 2 for police last time, and then 1 for fire. I think, if I can remember that. This is just for 1.
Okay, no more trusting memory.
All right, so motion is to pass the first reading for both. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second
Motion is
reading?
passed the second reading. Clerk will call roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 23 and 24.
Murphy Ramboletti,
Yes.
Puelo,
Yes.
I. Rivera,
Yes.
J. Rivera,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Bartley, Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern.
Yes.
Unanimous.
For your vote, you approve that one. So 25 to 29 take up as a package.
So moved.
All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 25 is 5,000 from lieutenants to captains. 26 is 250,000, representing E911 dispatchers, 100,000, patrolmen, 150 to overtime. 27 is the student awareness fire education grant for $7,958. 28 is the fiscal year 23 firefighter safety equipment grant for $24,978. And then 29 is the 2022-2023 Marcotte Ford fire equipment donation for $9,890.52. All these would be going to finance. All those in favor?
President, if I could,
Aye.
on
Oh,
discussion
sorry.
real quick.
Sorry, Councilman.
We're scheduled to meet on February 1st. We do have the mayors, we received at the last meeting, an auditor, this meeting, some forecasts and a request to put together a get-together with the financial consultant and do some forecasting overall about where the city's going over, I think, the next 5 years. That's going to be a healthy discussion. We're going to try and get as many of these on the same agenda, but I'll be reaching out to members of the Finance Committee to see if we want to do 2 meetings or try to do all 1 meeting.
And Joe, that's that report we got here this evening. That's that 5-year forecast.
That is the same thing? Okay.
I believe so, yes.
I
This
wasn't
one
sure
from
because it came in under the auditor. Yeah.
Mr. Kinsherf, this one here. So
Okay.
we're going to have the meeting at the next finance to
We're going to
discuss
do
this.
that at the yes.
Okay.
You know, and
Very good.
So all those to finance, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 30 from Councilor Puello. City engineer, please explore the feasibility of installing a divider or dividers at the top of St. Vincent Street. So that would be to receive send to the engineer and
Public
copy
safety.
to public safety?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Or to public safety? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 31, also from Councilor Puelo, the city engineer please explore the feasibility of repairing the raised crosswalk at West Franklin and Magnolia.
Public safety?
So public safety with a copy to engineer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 32 from Councilor Puelo, that the police traffic trailer please be set up on Main in Vernon, adjacent
Receive,
to Spring
adopt.
of Heart. So that would be receive, adopt,
Send to the
send
police
to
chief.
the
Police chief?
no, the traffic. I know there's not a traffic.
Our traffic
All right,
bureau?
we do have a traffic officer.
One that's not manned?
So
Traffic
actually,
bureau.
we'll send it to the chief. We'll send it to the chief. I know there's a traffic officer because he came into Ian White's.
Hopefully we'll get a traffic bureau, right, Kevin? So-
Yeah, there's one set by ordinance we now know.
So motion is receive, adopt, send to the chief. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 33, from Councilor Puelo, that the DPW please replace the older assigned handicap spot, unsigned handicap signs in the alley parking behind 588 South Summer Street.
Receive,
So
adopt.
motion would be receive and adopt and send to DPW.
Second.
No, it's just changing the sign. It's not changing an ordinance, it's the older signs. So
Yeah.
you can change that. No, you never have to have good reminder. The placard number, we used to do it way back when we put the placard number on the sign. And then the state came back and said, Wahoyok, that's a no-no. Can't do that. So the way we do it is you apply for a handicap sign, you show your placard that you are handicapped and you're looking for it, but the sign goes up where they're requesting it. Let's say it's for Councilor Vacant, she wants a sign at 10 Main Street. I can come along if I have a handicap and park right there. So you cannot designate it for a person, that's the problem. Yeah, but they have to.
I think we deleted the ones,
Delete them,
we
yeah.
changed the ordinances, I believe, quite a while ago,
Yeah.
where we took out the numbers.
Correct. Pursuant to
After
state
the
argument.
law department came out with that opinion, like 2003, I think is when that legal opinion came out.
But it's already, we already did it. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so
I
that
think
one's.
that's been cleaned out.
Yeah. Councilor Rivera.
So, if it's in the alley, would that be a city issue?
Yeah, so alleyways are, depending on the alleyway, the alleyways are resident-owned up to the middle, but it's come to our attention from legal that there are certain alleyways that aren't owned in that fashion. So we have to check to make sure on this one.
Yeah, just because if anything, I think it would be on the property owner. If the parking lot is in the back of their alley of the property owner.
Yeah, if there's already a sign there, then it's already been vetted by us to put it up, and all I think Councilor Puelo is saying is.
No, I
the
get.
sign.
I have no. It makes sense, but it's just for me. It's like if it's on the building owner's property, it might be something that they did versus something we did. But if it's because it's an alleyway, I've never seen a handicap sign put by the city in an alleyway.
What we're going to do is receive, adopt, send a DPW with a report back to the council.
Yeah, no.
Just on that.
Yeah.
Councilor Bacon.
Yes, I was just going to clarify that if it isn't in the ordinance book, then the engineer will come back and say,
Right.
Okay, that's
it's
cool.
not ours. Yeah.
Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 34 from Councilor Puelo, and the recently installed handicap sign at 363 Chestnut Street be removed per the request. So that would be to
Ordinance.
ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 35 from Councilor Puelo, that the receiver of schools please explore the cost and feasibility of revamping current driver ed classes. So that would be
Joint
to
committee.
Joint committee.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 36 from Councilor Rivera, order that the Honorable Council invite in the Chief of Police to discuss whether or not the department has a traffic squad. Ordinance references 6 officers that are required for traffic. So that'd be to public safety?
Yes, with a copy, I guess, to ordinance, if that's okay.
Sure.
If it requires an ordinance, yeah,
Right.
I think that's a good idea.
Yep.
Can I be added as a co-sponsor?
Can I as well, please?
And Councilor Jordan, Councilor Murphy Ramboletti,
Could I also be on that?
Councilor Tallman.
Thank you.
Let me just get to 36 here. All right, so that is received to public safety, copy to ordinance, and to the chief. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. 37, Councilor Rivera, Honorable Council, add a section to the whole Code of Ordinances, Human Relations.
Ordinance?
To ordinance. All those in favor? All opposed? 38, from Councilor Rivera, order that the council work with the city solicitor to draft an ordinance prohibiting the discrimination or discrimination practices based on an individual or the perception of individual's race, color, creed, religion, sex, domestic relationship status. So this would go
Ordinance.
to ordinance as well. Copy to legal.
If I may,
Yeah,
real quick.
Councilor.
I already have the language drafted that I found somewhere else, and if anything, I can send it to legal, or do I have to file?
No, you can send to, so in essence, you're looking to draft an ordinance, you can always refer that over to them, that's what you were thinking.
Okay.
It'll go to ordinance and they'll
Right.
come out with the version. Councilor Aiken.
Thank you. And I'd also like to ask legal to bring or send over to ordinance whatever language we currently have.
Well, I didn't see any. That's why.
Yeah, but I mean, I just want them to
No, that's perfect.
send over whatever there might be.
All right, so
Thanks.
what you can do is, Councilor Rivera, send it to legal and then send a copy to Jeffrey, and we'll get it out to everyone. That's
Awesome.
what you were looking at.
Yep.
Quick
Perfect.
All those-
question.
Yes?
Yeah, just a point is, there already may be a statute that already says this, and so it's a preemption issue. Like, you can't create an ordinance if a state law already says X, you can't create an ordinance that says Y, right? So so maybe that's the reason you're not seeing it in the ordinance book, is just a point, just a technical point. It might be, we're already governed by one, perhaps, so maybe what the law department can look at is what you're proposing compared to what the current state law is, and then they can see if there's any gaps or what have you.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
All right, so motion received, send to ordinance, copy to legal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 39 from Councilor Rivera, or at the council inviting representatives of the Hoyoke Public Schools Special Education Department to address IEP progress and procedure. So this would be
Joint
to
committee.
joint committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 40 from Councilor Bacon, Councilor Puello, that the Cannabis Commission create a regulation that retail marijuana products be required to have a health safety warning. Send this to public
I think public safety.
safety.
I think they already come with that, but I'm down to have the conversation about that.
All right.
Well,
So
just because so much of it looks like candy, too.
Yeah, but there's
That is a
there's-
regulation.
There's a little caution, little box on the bottom of the wrapper, or on the whichever product. you
Okay.
buy. There's a little piece, but we can have the conversation anyways.
Okay.
all right. So public safety.
Got to get out more.
All those in favor? All opposed? 41 from Councilor Bacon, Councilor Puello, that the local inspector of retail marijuana establishments for compliance with laws selling 21 over similar to those cigarettes and alcohol. So this would be also public safety.
Yes, please.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 42 from Councilor Bacon, Councilor Puello, that the marijuana mitigation money be used to provide educational programs regarding the risk and dangers to children. Must receive and send to the mayor.
Yes, please.
Can I be added to that one?
Yep. So, adding Councilor Rivera, and motion be received, refer to the mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. President,
Yep.
could I, if we go back to 41, if
Yep.
I could ask the makers to be added onto that?
Yep.
And possibly have a copy sent to the Board of Health, because I think they're the ones that are in charge of having a group go out there to check out licenses and cigarettes and alcohol, because I know they do that every so often. They go to businesses and have somebody go in there and sort of decoy, so
Right.
let them be aware of that. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so motion is go back to 41. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those, add Counselor Tallman. Also, so it was received, sent to public safety, but also to the.
Copy
Board of
maybe to
Health.
Board of Health?
Yes. Yeah.
Good idea.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There are just a few late files.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I'm not a strong
I
listener.
know who the first one is, though.
I'm not a strong listener.
McGivern. Da, 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 da.
Honestly, oh, actually, I'll be quiet. One's mine. All right, no. Anyway, we'll move on. Late file A is a settlement agreement between the City of Hoyoke and the NAGE 180.
Finance?
So to finance, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? B is from myself, order that 2-138E9B Fire Department Station Revolving Fund be updated to remove language, payments received by Action Ambulance.
Did we do that in ordinance?
Finance. It's
Or finance.
Yeah, it's a revolving fund.
Yeah, it was a revolving fund.
Purpose
We went
change.
back and forth on this before.
No, it's not
Yeah.
an ordinance.
All right.
They're not set by ordinance, they're set by state law, but
All
in them,
right.
you have to have a purpose of the fund, and they're just,
All right.
because obviously we've changed vendors, so now they want to make it generic,
That's
which makes
good.
perfect sense.
Yeah, we're just getting rid of Action
That's
Ambulance,
good.
and it's now reads payments received from the city contracting with an ambulance provider.
Makes sense.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah,
So that-
generic. Yeah.
Yep.
So send that to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's easy. Yeah.
I think that was under Joe's. Just saying. Just kidding. Last one from Councilor McGivern, which is a $13,500 grant for the urban forestry.
This is for Yoni.
Finance.
Yoni? Finance?
Finance.
Yoni, to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is it.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Motion is to
Second.
adjourn. Don't debate it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.